Hi, I'm Rebecca,
Hi, I'm Nathan.
and we're here to talk to you about cue absence and how it affects your communication online. So, what is cue absence? Well, there's no doubt that technology has revolutionized how we communicate with others. It's made it possible to stay in touch with people we don't see often and even talk to people on the other side of the world. However, online communication looks pretty different from offline communication. When we talk to people in person, not only do we hear what they have to say, but we can also hear their tone of voice as well as see their facial expressions, reactions, and body language. These are all examples of social cues that make face-to-face communication much more clear. When we communicate with people online, there are a lot of nonverbal and verbal cues missing from the interaction. This is a concept referred to as cue absence. Cue absence can make it a lot harder to get your point across or correctly interpret what another person is saying online. As a result, it can cause a lot of miscommunication when talking to people online, or it can cause communication when talking to people on the phone, like Patrick is having here. So, all online communication suffers from some degree of cue absence, but not all platforms are created equally. Some social media sites, like Snapchat or Instagram, allow users to use images, text, or both to communicate one on one, in groups, or publicly. Because a social media platform can allow users to communicate through different features, and each feature has a different degree of cue absence, it's important to look at how these individual features impact our communication. Some online methods of communication, like FaceTime and Zoom, allow users to video chat with one or more people. Cue absence is actually pretty low with these methods because users are able to hear the inflection in the other person's voice and see their facial expressions. Even so, you're likely to miss gestures and body language cues that you're able to see in face-to-face communication. Cue absence is even higher among photo sharing platforms like Instagram or Facebook. Though private photo messaging, like a typical Snapchat or Instagram DM, is more personal than public photo sharing, they both have pretty high levels of cue absence. Neither method allows you to hear the other person's voice or see changes in body language. The method with the highest level of cue absence is private text messaging. This includes messaging apps like WhatsApp. Private text messaging doesn't allow you to see or hear the other person you're communicating with. You have to interpret what the other person is trying to communicate through text and text only. This can create a lot of miscommunication if the text isn't clear, because it's up to the reader how they choose to interpret it. For example, something that was sent sarcastically might be taken seriously, or vice versa.
Now, at first, this might seem a little bit abstract, or it might be tough to wrap your head around what exactly we mean. You might even think, who cares? I talk to my friends online all the time, and I never have any problems at all. None of this seems like a big deal. But that's where you're wrong. The difficulties that come with cue absence are probably much more common than you think. For example, just think of the classic instance of receiving a text with just the single letter K. As I'm sure you all know, K is often used in a negative sense. It can be dismissive, passive aggressive, or just aggressive. I can't tell you how many times I personally have freaked out for a good 2 minutes trying to figure out what someone meant when they sent me just a K. I'm wondering, did I do something wrong? What's this guy's problem? How dare you? And so on. You get the point. So this is pretty much a perfect illustration, and just one illustration, of how cue absence can change digital communication in a pretty serious way. Now, on the other hand, digital communication has proven to be pretty innovative at dealing with cue absence in at least some cases. So, a lot of users will come up with their own ways to create meaning using words, phrases, and punctuation to fill in the gaps. Here are just a few examples of this happening. Now, an even better example might actually be emojis, right? So emojis can give us a way to add some context to what we're trying to say, and they're even used on their own quite often. Really simply, just think of how we use a laughing emoji to communicate when we think something is funny. It's simple, but it helps demonstrate how online communication doesn't actually get rid of cues entirely, but rather it changes the nature or the way in which we understand each other. While in much of digital communication, we lack the ability to read facial features and gestures, these things you can see me doing right now, cues don't disappear completely, but they change online. And importantly, this transforms the kinds of relationships we form. So one important scientific finding related to cue absence is that an increase in technology use among young people has been linked to a lower ability to read cues in person, as well as poor conflict resolution skills, especially in romantic relationships. This is no doubt a problem for all of us. If the cue absence built into this relatively new kind of communication, digital communication, is causing us to lose our ability to understand each other face to face and to resolve our issues, there might be some significant consequences down the road for those of us who are growing up on tech. This is something we should take seriously and be conscious of when we spend so much time online these days, especially if and when we feel like our online communication is more rewarding to us than our time with our real life friends, family, and loved ones.
Just to be clear, we're not arguing that online communication is all bad. Like we've said, it's easier than ever not only to stay connected with our friends and family, something especially important in situations like the 2020 pandemic, but also to make entirely new connections. Thanks to the internet, it's simple to find like-minded people in digital communities to share common interests and experiences with, something that can be of huge benefit to minorities, outsiders, or anyone with uncommon interests. There's also some evidence suggesting that the ability to connect online gives youth who might have more trouble making in-person friendships a place where they feel more comfortable engaging with others.
The point is, technology isn't all good and it isn't all bad. Using technology poses certain risks, but it has a lot of great benefits as well. It changes the kinds of relationships we have. No matter what, we should all be aware of how cue absence changes how we communicate online, because as we know, it can lead to a lot of miscommunication and can potentially cause poor abilities to build and maintain face-to-face relationships. So next time you receive that K text, just remember, it's not you, it's the cue.